Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're working on the pool. We are getting it ready for winter. Here's the steps that I'm going to do to get it ready for winter. So hopefully this is helpful. I've kind of compiled a lot of the steps that I've read about, saw videos on, so hopefully this is helpful to someone to look and do it on their own. Clean. I've just had my robotic vacuum running for the last 24 hours. I've brushed the pool, I've netted it, so bottom, top are all clean, and then you want to balance the chemicals. Once the water's balanced, you want to add your winter chemicals. I ordered this closing kit off Doheny. They're a pool supplier. So they have a chemical called Winter Guard to add that. Metal out. After about 15-20 minutes, we add this oxidizing shock. And then they say to let it run, the pool pump to run for about an hour or so after you add this. So we're not going to do anything with the equipment until it runs for about an hour to circulate the chemicals. Alright, while I'm waiting for my chemicals to circulate, I'm going to prepare my skimmer. So I have my skimmer here. I have the suction off on the skimmer. I bought this door off Doheny as well. It's it's like a foam. It's got a plastic cover to it with a foam backer, and it's meant to seal off the skimmer area over the winter. It's supposed to be watertight. So I'm going to get this installed. Then I'm going to turn suction onto my skimmer and suck the water out. And then I want to see how well this holds up. Okay, so I should be able to just fit this right in place. Measure your skimmer opening, and they have a skimmer plate. It's tight. Okay, you really want to get it pushed in there good. Alright, so I have that. Now the skimmer area should be blocked off, and if I turn suction on to the skimmer area, it will suck water out of here, so the remaining water should get sucked out. That way I can prepare. I'm going to get my gizmo and be able to blow out this line when I'm ready to do that. Okay, I want to remove this. This is kind of the flapper door that's inside the skimmer. We just want to remove that so it doesn't get damaged by any freezing. Alright, while I'm waiting for my chemicals to circulate in the pool still, I'm just kind of tinkering with the skimmer here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the shop vac out. I got it on suction mode for wet, where I take out the filter, and I'm just going to stick the hose down into the skimmer line there. I'm just going to suck up as much water as I can. And then when I take apart the couplers at the pump, I'm going to put the blower on it and blow some water out. So really, the purpose of this is just to get as much water as we can right now out of the skimmer. Over at my equipment here, this is my suction valve. This is my main drain side. This is my skimmer line side. This valve controls how much suction goes to each, or I can close off the skimmer or the drain. So in this position, you see the back of this is off. That means that the skimmer's off, and it's only sucking from the main drain. So if I move this just a little bit here, it'll suck from the skimmer, which the skim line doesn't have a lot of water in it right now. You can see the pump sucked in some air. So once I turn everything off and I start draining all the equipment and filter and so forth, I'm going to hook up a blower line inside of the pump here to blow out both of these lines, skimmer and drain. We're going to hydro or airlock the main drain, and on the skimmer side, we'll basically have the gizmo. Okay, a couple of parts you're going to need. So obviously you saw the skimmer faceplate. These are a couple others that I got that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this gizmo. This screws into the skimmer hole. And then these three, I have 3 returns. These are threaded return caps with an O-ring. I just put some O-ring lubricant on it, and then I put some Teflon tape on the threads. So once I get those return lines blown out, I can cap them off with this, and it'll keep the water out of it. Okay, so now the pump is circulated for about an hour. All the chemicals have been dispersed. I'm going to leave my vacuum in just to keep circulating the water as I'm shutting down the pump, filter, heater area. So now I'm going to go over to the pump area and start winterizing that. All right, we're over here at the pump equipment, and I actually just did this, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through the steps that I used as I did this. So you obviously just want to, you know, turn your pump off. I'm just going to hit the breakers on all this, so that way all the power's off. Okay, I'm going to take the lid off my pump here, and if you see there's a hole down there, you can see it. There's a little hole down there. There's a little thumb screw. You just unscrew that. And then there's another little thumb screw right here. So just take out these two thumb screws, and that's going to drain the pump of all the water. So then the pump's empty. To winterize and drain the filter, this is a cartridge filter. So there's just a black drain. I just take the black cap off here. It'll drain the water out here. What I did with this one, though, is I took the band off. I opened it up, dried it all out, cleaned it all out, and I put brand new dry filters in here. So that way, you know, the filters in the cartridge filters will get filled with water, and it'll take a while to dry. So I didn't want them to freeze. So I cleaned those out, and I put new ones in. So that way, when I started up in the spring, it's got new filters in it. So that's how you that's what I did to the filter. As far as the heater goes, heater has a little black thumb screw that just screws in right here. I open that up, drain the water out. I then threaded in a little barb, just a regular fitting from an air hose that just screws in. I hook my compressed air up to here, and then it just blew any excess line through here through the return lines. Okay, we got our shop vac hooked up here, and we have it on the blower side of it. And I found the best way is to actually, I'm just tape this, actually pull vacuum hose on the end. This actually fits perfectly into the pump hole right here. So I just need to have I'll have like someone hold that there, and then I'll look into the pool. But if you see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow air through here down into the main drain, and I want to see it bubbling out of the main drain. And then once the air is bubbling, I'm going to turn the valve to the drain off. That way it's going to trap the air down in the bottom and kind of do an airlock on it. Okay, if you see here, I've gotten bubbles coming out of my main drain. That's exactly what I want. It's bubbling out of that side too. Oh, there's some more bubbles there. So what I'll do is once it bubbles for a minute, I'm gonna come back to the pool side and do the airlock. All right, I'm blowing the air out. Now I'm gonna turn. I tried with a smaller vacuum. This is a 6 horsepower. You probably need at least that size to do this. My pool is not that deep, so if you have like a 8-10 foot deep pool, you might need like a professional pool blower to blow these lines out. But I think this is sufficient for that. So now that I have it on, so see how I have the drain off, so the air is now trapped down there. We've locked that one. To winterize the skimmer here, the skimmer line, we'll blow the air through the skimmer, and then we'll put the gizmo in. So we'll do the same thing. We'll hold this in there tight and blow the air out. Okay, I just turned on the blower to the skimmer line, and I blew the water out, and I turned it off. And I'm going to keep my skimmer area dry. I have that faceplate in that's keeping all the water out. This is actually after a couple of days of putting that in, so it's actually stayed dry, so I'm pretty confident it's going to stay that way through the winter. But I'm still using the gizmo, and I screwed the gizmo in. The line going in is threaded, so this just screws into it. And then before I put this in, I just poured probably half a gallon of antifreeze into the line, and then after I screwed this in, I put some antifreeze down here, just adding protection. So that's how we do the skimmer line. Now I can, put my cover back on. And this is going to be covered, whether I have my auto cover, this is inside the cover tracks, whether I have the auto cover or I have my winter cover, this is going to be covered, so no water should get inside the skimmer area over the winter time. Okay, this is my return line, so it leaves the heater right here and it comes here. And if you see here, this is where my chlorinator goes. I took the chlorinator out. I'm waiting for a kit. You have to get a kit that has a cap on it. And then you fill this up with the hydrochloric acid, let it sit for 15-20 minutes and rinse it with water. So I'm waiting to do that. So that's why I didn't reinstall it there. But this is my return line. I only have one line that goes back to the pool for returns, and it just so happens that this pool vacuum hose I have hooked up to my blowing shop vac fits perfectly in that hole right there. I'll just get it wedged in, have someone hold it in there. I'll turn on the shop vac, and then it'll start blowing air through my 3 returns. Once the air's blown through the lines, I'll cap them off. If you see here, I've actually already done this. I'm just kind of giving you. So these as the air's blowing out of these lines, you just simply turn this on. You cap that on. This one's closest to the pump equipment, so I did that one first, and then I did the one over here, and then the one furthest from the pump equipment's down on that end, and that one I did last. So you want to make sure they're all cleared out of water, and then these caps are going to just screw on there. They have O-rings on them. They're going to keep them tight. One thing you can do after you get them on, you can run the blower and just make sure there's no air leaking out of there. So as long as there's no air leaking out, there's no water getting in, so we're good to go. So that's it for the lines, winterizing the lines. The equipment takes not a whole lot of effort, other than just getting all of the water out of the pipes in the equipment here. Taking this apart is a little bit of a time. You don't have to do that, but really just draining out the water out of there, draining the water out of the heater. That's all we need to do. But I'm just doing some cleaning and some maintenance that's gonna make opening it up in the spring a lot easier. So put new filters in here, gonna clean up my chlorinator. And then once we get that cleaned, I'll put that back in place and we'll be good to go. The final step, part of the chemicals that came with our closing kit asked us to put in this little, it's like a floating chlorinator. You just poke a few holes in the bottom of it, you throw it in. Right now I just have my automatic cover on. As it gets a little colder, I'm going to keep it retracted, and I bought a winter cover that I'm going to put over, and it has these water bags to kind of hold it in place. So that's my plan as it gets a little colder. I really just kind of wanted to monitor the pool, the water, make sure there was especially no water in the skimmer since I have that faceplate on there. But anyways, that's the steps that I've used to winterize this. I also want to keep my auto cover on for right now. That way I can just throw my vacuum in. I got my vacuum still kind of going, circulating the water a little bit more. So there's that. But anyways, those are the steps I used. I'll put links to the products that I use in the description if you're curious about that. Feel free to leave comments in the description, or feel free to leave comments if you have any. Happy to hear any feedback. Hopefully this was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Thanks.